Hello, so today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be learning about large format photography and how to do it. So these are all the pieces that you'll be needing in order to practice large format. So starting with the tripod, this is what you're going to be setting your camera on. The camera's quite heavy. Sometimes the weight can vary, but usually they tend to be heavy enough that you don't want to be carrying it because you're not going to get a good photo because there'll be so much shape to it. And with this one's really heavy, so it'll also just make it a little bit better for shooting in the wind as well. So what we have here, this is a cable release. So when you're about to take the picture, you then attach this to your lens, so that way you can just push this to take your photo. This here, this is a light meter. This is what we use in order to see what the light is, to make adjustments on the camera so we can have a properly exposed picture. And then this is the lens. This is kind of what you need in order to take the picture. And right here, this is a film holder. So I'm going to show you in just a minute how to load one of these, but what you do is you put your film inside of here, so that way when you take your picture, you put these inside the camera, remove one of these, and then expose onto it, and then it'll keep it safe for while you're transporting around before you develop it and before you expose it. And then right here, the man of the hour, this is the camera itself, and I'll show you in another minute as well just how to put this all together and how to take a picture with it. And before I move on to show you how to load a piece of film into the holder, this here, it might look like it's just a part of the desk or a nice little velvet cover for it, but this is actually a dark cloth, and this is so you're able to see what you're actually taking a picture of. So you'll put this over top of your head when you're taking the picture so you can see what's on the back of the camera. So now I'm going to show you how to load your film holder. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to turn these metal pins right here over to the sides. Now, all that they do is they protect the film inside your camera by not allowing this slider to move around, because when let's say you're going on a hike with your film, you're just moving around a lot, there is a chance that this slider could pull out a little bit just on its own or just from the movement, and you don't want it to accidentally come out at all, because then it could completely ruin your film by exposing it. Speaking of the slider, you're going to notice that there's two sides to your slider. There's one side that's either going to be metal like this one, or it's going to be white. And then you're going to see another side, and that one is going to be black. Now, what each of these sides mean, or represent, is the black side, that represents film that has already been exposed, and then the metal side here, this one represents film that has not yet been exposed. Now, this is just good for keeping track of what you've already shot or what you haven't shot. So the next step, we're going to pull the handle right here, just a little bit, so that way we can turn this flap and get inside of the film holder to place our film. I wouldn't recommend fully pulling it out, just because this whole process has to be done within the dark, and you don't want to be fumbling around in the dark, either trying to find your slider or trying to find whatever or however you need to slide it in there. That, and there's two sides of these film holders, and if you end up taking both of them out, it can become really confusing very quickly as to which side that you've put your film in when you're doing this in the dark, and for making sure that you're doing it the right side, so that way you're keeping everything consistent and you know which has been exposed and which has not. So now we're going to grab our film. You're going to notice that it has these notches right here. Now, when putting film into the film holder, you want the emulsion facing up. So what these notches help with is you know that when it's in the right corner, that it's facing the correct way. So now what you're going to do is you're going to turn this part right here, and you're going to notice that there's these little kind of guiders right here. So when putting your film in, you're just going to make sure it gets under that lip, and then it should slide in super easy. Then you're just going to turn this down, slide the slider back into place, and then turn these metal pins, and then you're good to go. You just need to repeat this for the other side, and you're perfect. Now let's say we've already gone out, we've taken the photo, now we're back in the darkroom. How do we take it out? Well, you're basically going to do the exact same thing, except this time you don't really have to worry about whether or not this is all the way out. So what you're going to do, you're going to pull on the slider fully removing it. Then you're going to turn this flap again. Then you're going to pick up your film, slide it out, and then you're good to develop. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put the camera together. Now, these are the three parts that you're going to need to put it together, but it's really much more simple than it sounds. The only thing you really have to attach from this is the cable release and the lens. But that's going to come later, so we're going to set this just to the side for now. Now, the first step for what you're going to do with your camera is you're going to notice that there's two different knobs on each side. Now, one of these is going to turn clockwise, and the other one you're going to turn it counterclockwise. And what this is going to do is that is going to loosen your rear standard. Not all cameras are like this, but mine specifically has a button right here to unlock from its base. So then you're going to press that, and with the rear standard loosened, it should open right up like this. So then what you're going to do is you're just going to tighten that right back up. And then now we're going to be dealing with the front standard. So now what you're going to do is you're just going to lift it right up like that, and then you're going to slide this all the way out to the front. And then you're going to see this little switch right here. What you're going to do is you're going to switch that over, and that is going to lock this in place so it doesn't move anymore. Then you're going to have these two knobs right here. And what this does is this controls the height of the front standard. And so what you're going to do is you're just going to lock that up for now. You'll deal more with that when you're actually taking the picture and you're looking through it, and then you'll make more better adjustments. But for now, we're just going to leave it as is. So then the next thing you're going to do is, if you notice, if you push on the front standard, you can twist it forward or backwards. For now, we're just going to have it be as level as we can with the rear standard, which I'm actually going to rotate a little bit more forward. And then to lock this into place, you're just going to press, pressed on the wrong thing, you're just going to press this up like this. So then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to be attaching the lens. So what you're going to be doing is the lens, once you take the lens cap off, is it's just going to be sitting right into these little grooves here. So I'm just going to be looking at it for this because it's just a little bit finicky. Just to make sure I'm fitting it in correctly. You just have to be very careful and patient when doing this. If it doesn't go in the first time, don't worry. I've been doing large format for a very long time, and I still don't always get it in the first time. So then what you're going to do is, once that's in there, you're just going to press this right in, and then you're going to press this down, and that is going to lock your lens into place. So then the last step for putting your camera together is you're going to grab your cable release, and you're going to see right here by the shutter, or the shutter release, you're just going to screw this right in here, and then you're done. And that is how you build your camera. So now we're going to get into the more technical stuff. Now, I've already mentioned to you front standard and then the rear standard. Now, you know that they both will rotate a little bit and twist. Back and forth. Now, why they're called these things is, or what each part means is, the front standard is just what we refer to the front half of the camera that will rotate, that holds the lens, and then the rear standard is what we call the back portion of the camera that will specifically hold the ground glass. What's the ground glass, I'm hearing you say? Well, the ground glass is what when you're looking through the camera, or what the film is going to have projected on it for the image. And if you want to see what this looks like, it's this wonderful piece of glass just right there. Now, a camera is a camera. And yeah, this one looks a bit different than your standard one, but it still has all the same functions. When you're taking a picture, you still have to deal with aperture, shutter speed, and of course focusing. Now, starting with focusing, it doesn't focus like a normal camera. It definitely doesn't have the automatic focusing feature, and it doesn't have what most cameras have now, which is you just rotate the lens a little bit. Instead, how you focus this camera is you see these little knobs here. What you do is you will rotate that, and it will extend your bellows. The bellows is specifically this accordion piece right here. And this will both, and doing it both forward and retracting it, will focus your image. Now, earlier we had also mentioned rear standard and front standard. By adjusting these, you can also play with how your image is focused as well. But that's a more advanced topic, and that will take a lot longer to describe, more than we have time for in this class. So now we'll get more onto the lens and talk more about both aperture and shutter speed and how that is on these cameras. So if you look and you see this little ring around the camera that has this red triangle and then the numbers below it, this is actually your shutter speed. And by switching this, it'll actually change the shutter speed of the camera. And then if you notice this little dial up here, now to make it see better, there is a black switch right here. If you flip that up, it will open up your shutter for the time being, allowing you to actually see what the aperture will look like. Now, by changing this metal slider right here, this will actually adjust your aperture. And let's find out what we need for the lighting of this room. So bringing out our trusty friend, the light meter, I'm just going to turn this on, and I'm going to change the ISO, which is just the light sensitivity of the film or of the sensor if this was an electronic camera. And I'm going to bring it to 200 because that's the film that we're using to take this picture. So now I'm just going to go test it out, and it's saying it needs to be f8 at 4 seconds. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust this slider to 8, and then I'm going to adjust the shutter speed, so this ring, to 1/4 of a second. And then if I'm actually going to take the picture, if I don't slide this back down, that will not close when I go to actually click this to open or close the shutter. So I've made the mistake, a lot of other people have made the mistake of leaving this open and then ruining your film. It is a very common occurrence. Ask almost any photographer who shoots this. So you're going to make sure that's closed and learn from our mistakes. And then to actually take the picture, to prime the lens, you're going to switch or pull this lever back, and now your shutter's ready. So then as soon as you press this, or if you press this lever down there, but we're going to use this, it takes your picture. So now we're going to get into actually taking the picture. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to open up the back so you can see the ground glass, and then you're going to open up your shutter again like we did earlier, and then fully open up your aperture. I've already done that. That just means that you can properly see your image when you're getting your focus, and then afterwards you'll make the proper adjustments for what your shot will be. So then what we're going to do, you're going to grab your trusty dark cloth, and you're just going to put that over your head, so that way when you're looking through the camera you can properly get your focus. Then, once everything in focus, you're going to close that back up. You're going to adjust your aperture to whatever setting you need it to be, as well as your shutter speed. I've already changed the shutter speed, so then all I have to do is I have to close up that shutter one more time. Then you're going to pull this lever to prime your shutter, and then you're going to grab the trusty film holder that we loaded some film into earlier. You're going to pull back on the ground glass, and you're going to slide your film, that didn't go in, right in there. Then the next thing you're going to do is this little handle that's on top of the film holder. You're going to pull that out, take your picture, slide this back in, and boom, you're done.